The Nexari flagship, Eternal Dawn, emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Supreme Commander Vazix stood on the bridge, his iridescent scales shifting from deep blue to violet as he studied the primitive sensor readings from the third planet. His species had spent millennia perfecting the art of first contact, subjugating countless civilizations under the banner of protection. Earth would be no different. Analysis of their global communications network complete, Supreme Commander, reported Science Officer Nixis, her tentacular sensor arrays pulsing with data. Their most advanced military vessels still rely on chemical propulsion. No sign of quantum computing, zero-point energy, or even basic gravitic drives. Vazix's secondary breathing chambers expanded with amusement. Another species trapped in their cradle, ripe for integration into our benevolent empire. He turned to his communications officer. Prepare the standard first contact package. Let's show them how generous we can be to primitive species. Deep within Cheyenne Mountain, in a facility far below the publicly known no-raid installations, General Sarah Chen watched the alien vessel's arrival on a quantum-encrypted holographic display. Her weathered face remained impassive, but her dark eyes glinted with anticipation. 20 years of preparation were about to be put to the test. They're right on schedule, she murmured, turning to her executive officer. Status of Project Phantom. Colonel James Rodriguez consulted his neural interface. All phase shift drives are synchronized, General. The entire Ghost Fleet is maintaining quantum invisibility. As far as their sensors are concerned, we're still playing with rockets and gunpowder. Chen allowed herself a small smile. The arrival of the Nexari wasn't a surprise. Earth's quantum detection array had picked up their approach 3 years ago. But unlike countless other civilizations that had fallen to the Empire's protective embrace, humanity had used those years wisely. The Nexari's first contact message arrived exactly as their intelligence suggested it would. A grandiose display of their technological superiority, coupled with an offer of protection that was really thinly veiled subjugation. Their terms were simple. Earth could either accept status as a protectorate, surrendering control of its military and resource extraction to the Empire, or face immediate military action. Their arrogance is their weakness, Chen observed as she watched the Nexari broadcast play out on global media. They're so convinced of their superiority that they never consider a species might be hiding its true capabilities. The following days played out according to plan. Earth's governments publicly squabbled over how to respond, playing up their divisions and technological limitations. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt, the Ghost Fleet waited. Each ship was a masterpiece of human ingenuity. Vessels that could bend quantum fields themselves, becoming literally invisible to the fabric of space-time. The Nexari response was predictable. After a week of deliberation, they positioned their fleet in a standard intimidation formation above Earth's major cities. Supreme Commander Vazix's voice boomed across all frequencies. Your time for peaceful submission has expired. Witness the power of a truly advanced civilization. In her command center, General Chen received the signal she'd been waiting for. Every Ghost Fleet vessel was in position, their phase shift drives humming in perfect quantum synchronization. She opened a channel to all fleet commanders. This is Ghost Actual. The Nexari believe they're about to teach humanity a lesson about technological superiority. Instead, they're about to learn why you should never judge a species by its visible technology. She paused, allowing herself to savor the moment. Execute Operation Revelation. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet prepared to show the galaxy that the age of empire was over. The phase shift drives spun up to full power, ready to reveal that humanity's apparent technological inferiority was the greatest deception in galactic history. Supreme Commander Vazix was preparing to give the order that would begin Earth's subjugation when his sensor officer's crystalline appendages suddenly frosted over, a sign of extreme distress in Nexari physiology. Supreme Commander, detecting massive quantum fluctuations. The readings. They're impossible. The officer's voice cracked with disbelief. Multiple vessels materializing throughout the system. They're everywhere. The space around the Nexari fleet rippled like water disturbed by unseen stones. Massive warships seemed to grow out of nothing, their hulls covered in geometric patterns that defied conventional physics. Each vessel was a perfect synthesis of form and function, their very existence challenging everything the Nexari thought they knew about technological advancement. Impossible, Vasix whispered, his scales paling to a sickly white. Their primitive transmissions, their outdated technology. It was all a deception, came a calm voice over all Nexari frequencies. General Chen's holographic image appeared on the bridge of every Nexari vessel. Did you really think humanity would broadcast its true capabilities for any passing empire to see? 20 years earlier, when Earth's quantum detection arrays first picked up signs of advanced civilizations, humanity's leaders had made an unprecedented decision. Instead of racing to catch up with alien technology, they would take a different path. While maintaining a facade of normal technological progression, the world's greatest minds were secretly united in a hidden program that would leapfrog conventional development entirely. The Ghost Fleet was the result. Ships that didn't just hide from sensors, but became quantum impossibilities. Vessels that could manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. Each ship was powered by a phase shift drive that could selectively decide which parts of reality it wished to interact with. The primitive chemical rockets you've been monitoring. Decoys, Chen continued, her hologram walking across the Nexari bridge as if she were physically present. The outdated satellites. Window dressing. While you watched our apparent struggles with basic spaceflight, we were perfecting technologies your empire hasn't even theorized yet. Around the solar system, more Ghost Fleet vessels revealed themselves. Some emerged from within gas giant atmospheres where they'd been hiding. Others simply phased into existence as they synchronized their quantum states with normal space. Each ship was a testament to human ingenuity. Designs that had never been seen before because they approached the very concept of space travel from a completely different direction. Colonel Rodriguez's voice came over the secure quantum network. Ghost Fleet fully deployed, General. 250 vessels in attack position. Phase shift drives stable and synchronized. Quantum weapon systems online. The Nexari crew watched in horror as their sensor displays tried to make sense of what they were seeing. The human vessels didn't just have stealth technology. They seemed to exist in a state of quantum superposition. Simultaneously there and not there, defying the basic principles of reality that the Nexari had built their empire upon. We've been studying your empire for years, Chen explained, her hologram now sitting casually in the Supreme Commander's own command chair. Your predictable tactics, your reliance on quantum sensors, your assumption that technological development must follow a linear path. We used every one of those assumptions against you. A junior Nexari officer frantically worked his console. Supreme Commander, their weapons, we can't even classify them. They're using principles of quantum mechanics we've never. His voice trailed off as new data flooded his screens. The Ghost Fleet's true capabilities were finally being revealed. Their hulls weren't just for show. Each geometric pattern was part of a complex system that could manipulate quantum fields at will. Traditional shields would be useless against weapons that could simply decide to exist inside their targets. Here's how this is going to work, Chen stated, her voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty. Your fleet is currently surrounded by weapons that can bypass any defense you possess. Your faster-than-light communications have been blocked by our quantum field manipulation. You are, in every practical sense, at our mercy. Vasix's secondary hearts began to race as the full implications became clear. His mighty fleet, the pride of the Nexari Empire, had just become obsolete in the space of a few minutes. Every assumption about humanity's capabilities had been wrong, and now they were paying the price for their arrogance. But unlike your empire, Chen continued, we don't believe in forced subjugation. Consider this a demonstration, a warning, if you will. Earth is not, and will never be, a protectorate. We're offering you one chance to withdraw your forces and recognize Earth's sovereignty. After that, she let the silence hang meaningfully as several Ghost Fleet vessels phased partially through nearby asteroids, demonstrating their complete mastery over physical space. Supreme Commander Vazix's pride warred with his instinct for survival. The Nexeri Empire had never retreated, never shown weakness in the face of lesser species. But as he watched another demonstration of the Ghost Fleet's capabilities, a human vessel passing through his flagship's shields as if they didn't exist, he realized they were facing something unprecedented. "You think these parlor tricks will frighten the might of the Nexeri Empire?" he snarled, trying to maintain his composure. With a gesture, he activated his fleet's combat protocols. "We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Our technology has been perfected over millennia." General Chen's hologram shook her head sadly. "And that's precisely your weakness. You stopped innovating. You stopped thinking laterally. When you found a technological path that worked, you stuck to it. Humanity, we never stopped questioning, never stopped looking for alternative solutions." The Nexeri fleet's weapon systems came online, their crystalline hulls humming with power. Vazix felt more confident as familiar battle algorithms activated. "Your ships may be able to hide, human, but can they fight? Can they withstand the full might-off?" His words were cut short as the first demonstration of humanity's combat capabilities began. A Ghost Fleet vessel designated Prometheus phased into a higher quantum state, becoming completely immaterial to normal matter. Then, in an act that defied conventional physics, it projected a quantum field that selectively materialized only its weapons while keeping its hull intangible. "Quantum lance firing," announced Colonel Rodriguez from his command post on Prometheus. The weapon didn't so much fire as simply exist at multiple points in space simultaneously, creating a cascade of quantum effects that bypassed the Nexeri shields completely. 3 Nexeri destroyers found their crystalline hulls transmuted into clouds of exotic particles. Vazix watched in horror as his carefully planned battle formation dissolved into chaos. The human ships weren't just fighting. They were rewriting the rules of combat itself. When Nexeri weapons fired, Ghost Fleet vessels simply shifted into quantum states where the attacks couldn't affect them. When the humans attacked, their weapons operated on principles that made conventional defense impossible. "Target their flagship," Chen ordered, her voice calm but firm. "Non-lethal demonstration only. Show them what happens when you try to outfight a species that turned quantum mechanics into an art form." The Nexeri crew barely had time to register the attack. One moment, their mighty flagship was preparing to fire its main battery. The next, quantum fields throughout the ship began to fluctuate wildly. Artificial gravity failed. Power systems cycled randomly. Even the crystalline hull began to resonate at frequencies that threatened to shatter it. What are you doing to my ship?" Vazix demanded, watching helplessly as his advanced technology betrayed him. "We're having a conversation with your ship's quantum structure," Chen explained, her hologram now walking through the chaos on the bridge as if nothing was wrong, convincing it to behave differently. "Your technology is impressive, but it's still based on conventional quantum mechanics. We've moved beyond that." Around the solar system, the battle, if it could even be called that, continued to demonstrate the gap between Nexeri and human capabilities. Ghost Fleet vessels seemed to dance through space, existing and not existing as needed. Their weapons didn't just destroy targets, they rewrote the quantum states of matter itself. "This is your final warning," Chen announced to the entire Nexeri fleet. "Your empire is built on the assumption that technological progress follows a predictable path. That assumption ends today. Earth is declaring itself a sovereign spacefaring civilization, and we are demonstrating our ability to enforce that declaration." To emphasize her point, several Ghost Fleet ships executed their most dramatic maneuver yet. They created a cascading quantum field that temporarily phased a sphere of space, containing several Nexeri vessels into a different dimensional state. When the sphere normalized, The Nexari ships found themselves facing each other, their positions randomly scrambled. By the first light, whispered Vasix's science officer, they're not just hiding from sensors or bypassing shields. They're manipulating the fundamental structure of space-time itself. The revelation hit Vasix like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just developed better technology. They'd developed different technology. While the Nexari Empire had spent millennia refining their understanding of known physics, humanity had looked at the universe from entirely new angles, finding paths to advancement that no other species had considered. Your empire has 3 standard days to withdraw all forces from the Sol system, Chen stated, her hologram now standing directly in front of Vasix. After that, we will consider any remaining Nexari military presence an act of war. And trust me, Supreme Commander, what you've seen today was just a fraction of what we can do when we stop playing nice. Supreme Commander Vasix had made a fatal miscalculation. Instead of withdrawing his forces as demanded, he had spent the 3-day grace period transmitting encrypted quantum signals to the nearest Nexari reserve fleet. He believed that with reinforcements, he could still overwhelm the humans through sheer numbers, despite their technological superiority. He didn't realize that his encrypted transmissions had been intercepted, decoded, and analyzed before they even left the solar system. They're really going to make us do this the hard way, General Chen sighed, studying the tactical display showing the approaching Nexari reinforcements. Colonel Rodriguez, initiate Operation Checkmate. The Ghost Fleet's response was unlike anything in military history. Instead of meeting the Nexari fleet in conventional battle, human ships began appearing and disappearing throughout the enemy formation, creating patterns of quantum disruption that seemed random at first, but were actually carefully orchestrated. Target their command and control systems first, Chen ordered. Let's show them what happens when you try to outmaneuver a species that turns strategic thinking into a science. The Nexari pride in their military precision became their undoing. Their rigid command structure, perfected over thousands of years, had never faced an enemy that could literally exist between moments of time. Ghost Fleet vessels would materialize, execute precisely calculated strikes, and vanish before the Nexari combat computers could even register their presence. Sir, a Nexari communications officer called out in panic. We've lost contact with the entire 3rd battle group. Our quantum links are being redirected somehow. Vasix watched in growing horror as his carefully coordinated fleet began to fragment. The humans weren't just attacking ships, they were attacking the very fabric of Nexari military doctrine. Every backup system, every contingency protocol, every emergency procedure found itself countered by humans who had studied and prepared for this moment for years. On board the Ghost Fleet flagship, Quantum Shade, Colonel Rodriguez coordinated the assault with cold efficiency. Phase 2 initiated, deploying quantum network isolators. Specialized Ghost Fleet vessels moved into position, creating overlapping fields of quantum disruption. Within these fields, Nexari ships found themselves cut off not just from communication, but from the very quantum entanglement processes their technology relied upon. Advanced weapons became useless. Sophisticated shields failed. Even their artificial gravity generators fluctuated wildly. Did you think we spent the last 20 years just developing stealth technology? Chen's hologram appeared again on the Nexari flagship's bridge, but this time her tone was harder, carrying the weight of humanity's resolved purpose. We studied every aspect of your empire's technology, every weakness, every dependency, every flaw. To demonstrate her point, a Ghost Fleet vessel designated Neural Wind executed a maneuver that should have been impossible. It phased through the quantum shields of a Nexari heavy cruiser, rematerialized partially inside the ship's engine core, and then generated a localized field that temporarily altered the strong nuclear force itself. The cruiser's power systems didn't just shut down. They ceased to exist in a form that could ever function again. Your empire's greatest weakness, Chen continued, is that you believe strength comes from uniformity. Every ship identical, every tactic standardized, every response predictable. Humanity. We thrive on diversity, on finding unexpected solutions, on thinking in ways that break the very rules we're supposed to follow. The necessary reinforcements arrived exactly when Vasic's calculations predicted, but they arrived to find themselves already surrounded by ghost fleet vessels that had been waiting in higher quantum states, invisible not just to sensors, but to reality itself. The trap was sprung before the Nexari even realized they were in one. Neural Wind, execute Protocol Omega, Chen commanded. Let's show them what happens when you corner a species that turned impossibility into an art form. The Ghost Fleet's most devastating capability was finally revealed. Neural Wind generated a cascading quantum field that spread through the Nexari formation like a wave of unreality. Ships caught in the field found their quantum-based technology not just failing, but becoming temporarily uncertain at the fundamental level, existing in multiple states simultaneously, none of them useful for combat. This is what you face, Chen announced to all Nexari frequencies. A species that doesn't just use technology, we reshape it. We don't just fight battles, we change the rules of warfare itself. Every moment you stay in this system, you teach us more about your capabilities, and we adapt faster than you can comprehend. The message was finally beginning to sink in. The mighty Nexari Empire, with all its millennia of technological development, had run headlong into a species that had taken a completely different path to advancement. While they had refined existing principles, humanity had questioned the principles themselves. In the aftermath of the battle, the remains of the Nexari fleet hung motionless in space, their once proud crystalline hulls now dulled and powerless. Supreme Commander Vasic stood in his darkened bridge, illuminated only by emergency lighting, as he prepared to do something no Nexari commander had done in 10,000 years. Surrender. By the authority vested in me by the Eternal Throne, he transmitted, his voice heavy with the weight of history. I, Supreme Commander Vasic, acknowledge the complete defeat of Nexari forces in the Sol system and formally recognize Earth's sovereignty as an independent spacefaring civilization. General Chen's hologram appeared one final time, but now her stance was different, less confrontational, more diplomatic. Your surrender is accepted, Supreme Commander. But this moment represents more than just the end of a battle. It represents the beginning of a new era in galactic politics. The Ghost Fleet vessels began to power down their combat systems, their quantum fields stabilizing into patterns that were merely impossible rather than reality-breaking. But they maintained their strategic positions, a clear reminder that humanity's capacity for defense remained absolute. You must understand, Chen continued, addressing not just Vasic but the entire Nexari command structure, that Earth has no interest in empire building. We don't want your territories, your resources, or your subjugation. What we want is something far more valuable: change. In the days that followed, as Nexari ships were escorted to the edge of the solar system, humanity revealed another surprise. They hadn't just been preparing for war, they had been preparing for peace. Teams of human diplomats, scientists, and cultural experts emerge, ready to establish a new kind of relationship with the galaxy. Your empire's fundamental mistake, Chen explained during the formal peace negotiations, wasn't your technology or even your military doctrine. It was your assumption that progress must follow a single path, that advanced civilizations must think and act like you do. The implications of humanity's technological leap were sending shockwaves through the galaxy. Other species under Nexari protection began to question the Empire's authority. Reports of Earth's quantum phase technology sparked a renaissance of theoretical physics across a dozen worlds. The age of unified technological development was over. We're offering you something unprecedented, Chen proposed to the assembled Nexari leadership, a genuine partnership, not based on dominance and submission, but on the exchange of ideas. Your empire has perfected technologies we're still struggling to understand. Meanwhile, we've developed principles you never considered. Imagine what we could achieve together. Vasix, stripped of his military command, but serving as a cultural liaison, found himself increasingly fascinated by the human perspective. "You knew about us for years," he said during one discussion. "You could have used your phase shift technology to conquer our worlds one by one. Why reveal yourselves like this?" Chen's answer epitomized humanity's unique approach. Because the goal was never conquest. The goal was to create a moment dramatic enough to make your empire stop and think. To demonstrate that there are always alternatives, always different paths to progress. We didn't want to destroy your civilization. We wanted to help it evolve. As news of the Sol system events spread, other species began reaching out to Earth, not in fear or submission, but in genuine curiosity. Humanity's quantum phase technology had demonstrated that the fundamental laws of physics themselves were more flexible than anyone had imagined. The galaxy was entering an age of unprecedented scientific and cultural exchange. "The universe is vast." Chen addressed the first Galactic conference held on Earth soil, and our understanding of it is always incomplete. The moment we believe we know everything is the moment we stop growing. Humanity doesn't claim to have all the answers. We simply refuse to stop asking questions. The Nexari Empire didn't collapse, but it transformed. The concept of protected worlds was replaced by a coalition of independent civilizations. Trade routes once dominated by imperial control became highways of cultural and scientific exchange. And at the heart of this transformation was the lesson humanity had taught them. True strength lies not in enforcing uniformity, but in embracing diverse paths to advancement. As the last Nexari ships departed the Sol system, Vasix had one final conversation with Chen. "You've changed everything," he said, his scales showing patterns of deep thought. "The galaxy will never be the same." Chen smiled. That was always the plan. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in winning a war, but in changing the reasons why wars are fought. Welcome to the new age, Supreme Commander. An age where we all have something to teach, and everyone has something to learn.